to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and did Marvel Studios just show us the moment Galactus arrives to eat baby Franklin in Fantastic Four First Steps? Roll the clip.
The state-of-the-art personal assistant that does everything without a single complaint. And when trouble appears, he's a valuable member of the team.
While it seems like a carefree retro 60s sitcom promo, people who did actually grow up in that decade could tell you that this was the same exact tone that often came from smoking TV experts casually talking about, oh, I don't know, the blast radius of a hydrogen bomb, or in Pedro Pascal's other franchise, how we are all doomed to be infected by a parasitic fungus. Now, I've listened to lots of robots speak in the shows and movies I've covered over the years at New Rockstars, from BB-8 to that war criminal Chopper, and knowing HERBIE's voice is the voice of Matthew Wood, the voice actor behind General Grievous, I can kind of discern what HERBIE is saying here, and he is telling baby Franklin, get behind me. And he's saying this while Galactus' shadow looms over them both. I thought this might have been the moment Galactus looks in through the Baxter Building window as HERBIE cleans a penthouse, a shot that we have only seen in last summer's concept trailer shown exclusively to Hall H attendees at San Diego Comic-Con. And while what we're seeing here is a promo for the film, this shot of HERBIE and Franklin in particular, I am assuming is still something they shot for the film. In this video, I'm going to explain why and how this one shot recontextualizes a lot of what we have been assuming about the film. And I'm going to explain what's really happening here. And if you are so inclined, one of the best way to support us at New Rockstars is to head on over to nerdriot.shop, where we have all kinds of amazing nerdy gift options, specifically some really cool HERBIE and other Fantastic Four designs that are the best way to support this channel. Okay, so here is why I'm pretty sure this shot of baby Franklin is in the movie, or was at least intended to be in the movie, and that this wasn't just something that was intentionally shot for a goofy promo. Child labor laws, contracts, and the challenges of even filming with a baby on set. This is something that I have a bit of experience in, having worked on film and TV sets myself, and I can say that I have actually been in touch with a family member of this child who plays baby Franklin in this movie. I haven't learned any plot details from them. I don't even know their name, but I do know that they are connected to this baby. What I do know is that shooting scenes with babies is incredibly difficult, and for SAG-AFTRA signatory productions, which Fantastic Four First Steps is, and all major movies are, it requires a lot of extra people to be on set and a lot of extra people to be paid to be on set. Not just the parent or guardian of the kid, they also require what's called a studio teacher, which means someone designated to look after the welfare of the juvenile in what is often an overly busy and sometimes a bit dangerous movie set. They also need a whole bunch of support staff to help coordinate all of these people. And all of these resources are certainly justified within a film's production budget for scenes that are actually scripted in the movie, but productions are less likely to spend all of those resources on something that was just shot that was never intended to be in the movie, but rather just part of a commercial to advertise that movie, which is sometimes shot by a completely different director and a completely different crew, like the shots that we saw last month in which the adult actors cross-promoted ESPN's coverage of the NBA's Western Conference Finals. All of this is to say, I'm like 90% certain that this shot is actually a shot in the movie or something that was intended to be in the movie. Now, is it the same moment that Galactus looks in through the window, the shot that we saw in the San Diego Comic-Con concept trailer? Of that, I'm less certain, because that was actually just concept previs, and it might not be exactly what we see in the film. And you'll notice that the shape of the shadow over HERBIE and Franklin suggests to me that Galactus is further away from the Baxter Building than right outside of it. This is when his shadow would be still approaching from a distance of like a few miles. But my assumption before seeing this shot was that Franklin Richards would be nowhere near the Baxter Building and potentially nowhere near planet Earth when Galactus arrives. Many of us thought baby Franklin would be going on that four-pronged ship that arrives to Earth in another dimension in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, or that the Fantastic Four would be taking the baby to space to get that baby as far away from Earth as possible, because there was that scene that was shown exclusively to attendees of CCXP Mexico that we broke down in this video, in which Sue is going into labor on the Excelsior ship and the Silver Surfer is chasing them, phasing her body and board through the ship to try to grasp at Sue's womb, and even phasing her fingertips into the womb to try to get the baby. I didn't see this footage myself, but having been in a delivery room, that sounds insane. But we know from the description that the scene will end with Ben Grimm piloting the ship into a black hole. All of this to me sounded like they were going to be able to keep baby Franklin well hidden from Galactus. But now it seems as though Galactus will find the baby on Earth, and the adults of the Fantastic Four will not be right next to that baby to protect him. Now, how Galactus tracks this baby seems like a question we're gonna have to wait to see this movie to get answered. In this instance, the baby seems to have been left in the most obvious of places, the famed Fantastic Four's home skyscraper. skyscraper, but for Galactus to even know that Franklin Richards is on Earth at all suggests that Franklin must give off some kind of signature, some kind of radiation or frequency. I've suggested CMBR, the cosmic microwave background radiation that comes from the Big Bang, which is Galactus's origin point, and a type of radiation that Matt Shakman, director of this film, back in WandaVision suggested might have had reality warping powers. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. June is Men's Mental Health Month, and it's a great reminder that strength isn't about staying silent, it's about facing what's real even when it's uncomfortable. For a lot of men, there's pressure to have it all figured out by a certain age, and when your life doesn't match the timeline you imagined, it can feel like you're failing even when it's not. Look, I can be real with you for a second. I grew up in a military family, and just the type of family that didn't always speak openly about how we were feeling. We really valued the strong and silent type as what it meant to be a man. But as the only one in my family who has entered a career in entertainment, specifically having to be vulnerable here on YouTube in front of a big audience, I've had to learn a lot about how being strong and silent isn't strong nor silent, because it's gonna get loud at some point whether you want it to or not. And that is one of many reasons going to therapy has been completely transformative for my life. And if you have ever felt overwhelmed or like you're falling behind, you're not alone. You deserve support, and therapy can help you move forward. BetterHelp makes taking that first step easier. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 men experience mental health challenges, yet they're significantly less likely to seek help. That disconnect often starts early in our homes, in our schools, in the way we were taught to deal with pain, but it doesn't have to be that way. Therapy can help you see things from a different perspective. A good therapist helps you see that you're not behind in life, you're simply on your own unique timeline. They help you recognize that your identity isn't fixed by some arbitrary deadline, but constantly evolving as you grow. This perspective shift alone can be so beneficial. To the guys watching, asking for help doesn't make you weak. It's about showing up for yourself, even when it's hard. And to everyone else, whether you're a partner or a parent or a friend, your support can be the reason someone takes that first step, and you too can get help. BetterHelp makes starting therapy easy. Just head to betterhelp.com/newrockstars, fill out a questionnaire, and you will match with a therapist in as little as a couple days. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. Click the link in the description, scan the QR code, or go to betterhelp.com/newrockstars and get 10% off your first month of therapy. If Galactus could sense that CMBR from even the point of Sue Storm's pregnancy, it would suggest that Franklin even had those powers from before his birth, maybe from the point of conception. Remember, Franklin Richards is a mutant, and that mutation would be part of his DNA from the moment of conception. Traditionally, Marvel mutants' powers don't manifest until puberty, but that was not the case for Franklin Richards, whose powers manifested when he was still a toddler. But you know, Franklin Richards as a character predated most of the Marvel mutant lore. An article from Empire unveiled the creepy way Galactus will be initially discovered in the film, a scene in which Reed Richards points to a series of holographic star charts and says, "This is Proxima Delphi, a system with a planet similar to our own, which, as you can see, is now gone." So I think we are left with 5 options of what is really going on in this shot with baby Franklin and HERBIE. 1. Galactus might truly catch the Fantastic Four by surprise, or when they are away dealing with the Silver Surfer, Galactus might still succeed at taking Franklin. Galactus gonna eat that kid, or maybe just take him as his ward or something, as Galactus uses the kid's power to rebuild his destroyed past era of the universe. Option 2, a similar pitch. The Fantastic Four might be doing everything in their power to stop Galactus in this moment, but they will fail. One of the few shots that we've seen of Galactus in trailer footage is the shot of Reed stretching past a collapsing building, carrying some interesting piece of tech as Galactus stomps in the background. Could this device be the ultimate nullifier that they might be using to try to stop Galactus, or maybe just jam into his booty hole? Remember, the killing move that finished off Thanos in the 838 universe and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was using Thanos' own double-bladed sword to impale him, a move that I later did a crime scene analysis of to determine that that version of Reed Richards must have turned his body into some kind of slingshot in a particular combination of moves that Thanos could not have anticipated. And I think that is why Reed Richards is carrying whatever this thing is here. He's gonna try to do something similar. 3, another option. This whole moment could be one of the other examples that I've speculated about in the past of some disaster scenario that we are seeing in trailer footage, one that might not be what actually happens in the movie's objective reality, reality, but instead some possible awful outcome that characters are shown either through visions in their heads or just lifelike 8K renderings of possible futures in order to pressure them into going along with what Galactus is demanding. Option 4, Baby Franklin in this shot could be a decoy baby, either an animatronic or a holographic projection left behind with HERBIE to set a trap for Galactus.
It's a trap!
But if Galactus could read Baby Franklin's radiation signature, he would probably see through a trap like this, unless Sue and Reed could have found some way to reproduce that radiation signature and give it to HERBIE. And that could be why HERBIE says, "Get behind me." Like, would a baby even understand it if a robot said, "Get behind me"? Is this some kind of voice command that he's telling his bassinet? Because if it's not that, then HERBIE must have some other kind of badass defense mechanisms that have not yet been shown to us in trailers. Actually, they might have teased it in a different part of this promo. If you look closely at the other shots of HERBIE in this footage, like when HERBIE assembles Franklin's crib, we can see that he levitates and stays upright via these little jet thrusters. So I'm pretty sure this guy can fly. I would love it if Reed built into HERBIE a little bassinet storage container in the shell that could keep Franklin safe inside of him as HERBIE flies around like a mosquito that Galactus would be unable to grab. And option 5, the Fantastic Four might just be making the incredibly difficult decision of letting Galactus try to take Franklin because they know that Franklin is actually uniquely powerful and that if Galactus gets too close to the baby, Galactus could be severely weakened, or Baby Franklin will use his reality warping powers to just completely mess up Galactus. I think several of these possibilities could all be possible in different combinations, but what this further confirms either way is that Baby Franklin will not be comfortably safe at any point in this movie, and these sequences are going to have to do something to set us at ease over seeing a baby in that much danger. One way to do that is to make this baby not so defenseless, like a baby Jack Jack who suddenly goes God mode on an unsuspecting syndrome. Or maybe a sudden power-up like that will, like Jack Jack, be a surprise reveal to us, a deus ex machina for the heroes after Galactus tries to leave Earth with the baby and all hope seems lost. It seems like the climax of this movie will come down to a question of risk assessment and emotional pain management for parents. Can this family bear to leave their kid with the robot nanny with a huge ass target on them while they race to get the job done? And what could this do to a future relationship between these parents and this kid as that kid gets older, once he discovers that the strategy his parents used to save his life when he was a baby and the lives of billions was to use this newborn baby as bait for a giant space god? Could there have been another way that they didn't see or didn't want to do, but a strategy that could come to light to Franklin Richards when he's older and has the benefit of hindsight? Could paternal anger be part of the legacy of the first steps that comes to define this family tree until we get down to Nathaniel Richards? After I first brought up this possible connection in a video last month, our colleague Josh from Denham Nerds also saw the connection between Reed Richards' technology and the tech design of the TVA, and I think we might be onto something there. Comment down below with your thoughts, and a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Bro, who supports us at the executive producer level. And a special announcement, yes, I have been working on the deep dive channel behind the scenes, and the channel is not dead. I finally wrapped on a nearly 2-hour analysis of Christopher Nolan's Tenet, and that video will be coming to the deep dive channel later this month. So in addition to subscribing here, subscribe to the deep dive and all 4 channels of the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.